I can see an innate desire, sword in hand, warriors side by side. I can feel it, it burns like fire. Worlds collide, an unstable landscape, side by side. But that's what this mandates. Be it might, an unlikely allegiance. We will fight because that's the best defense. No turning back, for such is our path. This day we find a glorious death. Glorious death. Our goal, our mission is clear, as we ride against a dark empire. By my soul, may the last thing they hear be the roar of this raging choir. Disobey the savagery mindset. Night and day, we'll let loose and find it. Brutal will define our reaction. Rip out the throat of each one imperfection. No turning back, for such is our path. This day
Services has a bundle for all budgets. You can be fully protected with emergency response for just $49.99.
And we are live. This is Braxcast Live. This is, of course, a really exciting episode of the Braxcast. I always feel like that it is, and I think I removed the wrong thing. But anyways, nice to see GDV8819. I don't think I've ever seen you in the chat before, so I'm glad you're spending this Friday night with me. And of course, Garfield's Bizarre Adventure regular in the chat. Really nice. And of course, nice to see you, Ram. I'm not sure if you guys seen on Twitter. I'm an Orthodox catechumen. I'm a catechumen of the. Mic is off. It shouldn't be off. Oh, let's see. Edit mic settings. Oh, let's see. There you go. Is it working, guys? Are we live now? Technical difficulties. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, it sounds like it was coming through. Okay. Nice to see you, Andrew. I should have it working. Can we just confirm in the chat that yes, there we go. Okay, we're using this correct mic. So of course I'm gonna go through the intros again. This is Braxcast Live. Really exciting one. I feel like it always is for the most part. And of course, we're going to say hello to Garfield's Bizarre Adventure regular in the chat. Nice to see you. We've got GDV8819 and do not believe I've seen you before. Nice to see you spending a Friday night with me. We've got Ram, who, of course, seen him all the time. And, of course, we've got Caffeinated Wolf, and Mike has bad knees as well. And exciting thing for me, I don't necessarily want to get too into this, but I wrote an article on Twitter. I'm an Orthodox catechumen. So that was a big goal of mine this year. And it happened last week. And I've been feeling very at peace because of that. So like when the priest said the blessing over me, it's just been very nice. So I'll be very interested to see what happens when I get baptized, Lord willing, if I do. How that like changes me metaphysically and spiritually. But anyways, let's talk about comic books because we're here to talk about comic books. We're not here to talk about me converting to Christianity. And I think Garfield. Yes, good to hear. And my baptismal, my patron saint is Constantine the Great, a Roman emperor, which is really cool. Because if I was converting to Catholicism, which I don't recommend anybody do, I know that will offend Ram a little bit, but I couldn't choose Constantine as my patron saint if I was a Roman Catholic, but I can as an Eastern Orthodox, which I find a bit scandalous to me. But anyways, I do think we ought to talk about the big news. Of course, the real big news is that Eric July is a father. We do have confirmed Little Rippa, which is a really cool thing. But doesn't have anything to do with the Rippaverse. It's a cool thing in his personal life, and I hope him and the wife and the baby are all happy and healthy. And of course, I don't think Eric should come at me saying that diapers are expensive because just look at like my ice and free water, man. I think that's at least a month's worth of diapers right there. But yeah, of course, we got Student of God in the chat. Nice to see you. We're of course going to talk about. He had this thing with Rippaverse getting into retail. But anyways, this is pretty interesting. We've got the Rippazine collection. And of course, if I sound a bit congested, I'm getting over a little like cold or something. The seasons are changing. I always get sick around this whenever the seasons change, especially like going from like summer to fall. It just happens. So I'm a bit congested. So hopefully you guys can bear with me as we talk about the Rippazine collection volume 1. Yet another omnibus. And while this isn't like mind blowing, for me, the really interesting thing is, of course, we've got Zachary Levi, who is I believe he's in Shazam. He has the title character, right? And he's writing his own short story for that. It's the exclusive debut of Tobias Ford and Unpack That. It seems like, I'm not sure if it's going to be even shorter than the Rippazine short stories. It does seem like to be a teaser of like a full project. It's like, yes, he is Shazam. But anyways, let's watch this trailer and then we'll go delving into the commentary on this. No audio. Why is no I think it might be because I'm doing the wrong thing. Of course I'm doing the wrong thing. So we'll share a screen. We'll do window Rippazine collection share, and then we'll add this to the stage and it should work.
Introducing the Rippazine Collection, Volume 1. If you missed any of the original Rippazines, this volume brings together every short story from the first...
We good now on that? Also, we got Drunk Free PO in the chat. Really, really cool. So you can DM me Drunk Free PO because I know you wrote Across the Bear if you want to talk about that. Okay, so we're good now, but we're going to watch the rest of this and then Drunk Free PO, get in my DMs on Twitter at Velvet Room Publishing, and I'll send you the link if you want to come on, talk about Saints and Sinners. But anyways, let's get through the rest of this, and then I'll talk about the Rippazine collection.
5 issues collected in one place for the very first time. Now's your chance to catch up and experience these characters as they first came to life. But that's not all. You'll also get an exclusive sneak peek of a brand new story from actor Zachary Levi. His upcoming tale is created in collaboration with Nerd HQ, a charity he supports that helps provide vital mental health services to those who can't afford them. It's the perfect way to revisit all of the early Rippazine shorts while getting a first look at a new story with real-world impact. So don't wait. Pre-order the Rippazine Collection Volume 1 by visiting Rippaverse.com today.
Well, that is exciting. So the big thing for me, of course, I've read all these stories except for Andrew's story. And the only reason I haven't read that one is because I don't have it yet. But by the time we get this fulfilled, this is fulfilling Q1 2026. And of course, really cool to see that you're a fan of the content. Of course, I'd love to have you on. I love having guests on, and people love it when I have guests on. So if you're ever if today isn't a good time for you, you can just slide into my DMs and I can get you on Braxcast Live if you just wanna talk, because you are related to the Rippaverse. Of course, you've done Achromatic Chronicles with Rippazine, and of course, you've got Across the Bear. So I think it'd be cool to have you on. I think that'd be a cool thing for the show. But of course, if you don't want to, that's of course perfectly okay as well. But like I said, I think that would be a cool thing for the show. But anyways, let's see. Oh yeah, Soon of God is saying as having the best story. I like Chasing Ghosts. My favorite is Underdog. That was such a good story. And the thing I'll hold to with the Saskas is that they are really, really good at writing towards writing for short stories. That is what I should say. They did a really good job with Catch and Kill. I love that one. And then Underdog was a really good one as well. And I did like Cross the Bear. It was definitely, I believe, Cross the Bear was the one that he wrote. And everyone is like coming at me. Well, not necessarily coming at me, but people disagree with me on Bone God. I liked Bone God. I just think it works better as a longer story since it was Caleb Edwards. Let's see. Yeah, just honored to be a part of it. Yeah, no, it's total. I mean, I would be as well. I'd love to write something for Saints and Sinners. So definitely. But I'm not saying Cross the Bear was a bad story. And I definitely want to see more of Cameron Cross because he's a really interesting character. It's just you can only do so much with the 15, 16 pages. But yes, and I agree. We need more Saints and Sinners. And honestly, some of these should be getting their own books outside of Saints and Sinners, as well as Saints and Sinners continuing on. I mean, Saints and Sinners made over $500,000. So it's 100% justified in them continuing the story. And it's like, yeah, you only had 15 pages. And I think what you did with the 15 pages is enough to really intrigue me, but you didn't go for trying to shove in this complete story, which I think it works better. And like I said in the Saints and Sinners review, which you guys really enjoyed, again, I have people who consistently enjoy the reviews, which again, it's always going to scandalize me that people watch my content consistently and enjoy it consistently. But I guess I'm doing something right. So I'll take the dub on that one. But people enjoyed my review of Saints and Sinners, which you guys could watch on the channel. And I need to get some freaking tissues because my nose is running. I want to sniffle, but my tissues are in the kitchen. So I just run out and get some tissues. But anyways, sorry with that. Like I said in my Saints and Sinners review, you can do these stories where they're not complete stories in the sense of like having this really defined beginning, middle, and end, and being more of like a teaser for what a full story would be like. And it works because it's being supported by the other stories. Underdog to me is just like it has a very clear plot structure. It's done really well. And of course, it gives us some really great insight into Larry Shungai, who gets introduced in ISOM number 2 extremely briefly. So the fans are really, oh, yes, I heard that you got saved. If you're talking about my conversion, then yes, I'm a catechumen of the Orthodox Church. So in the coming months, I'll be baptized. Yeah, that happened. But this was a really long process for me, Jay. Like a year inquiring into Orthodoxy online Christianity because I had this like fundamental paradigm shift. I don't know exactly what caused it. I know it was like me looking into Roman history and then like accepting Christ is real and then having faith in him. And then very slowly, like when I moved up here, I was living in New York and I moved up to New Hampshire. One of the things like, let me find a parish and go to the church. And I went to a bunch of churches, and the one I am in is the one where like I'm part of the community now. It's done wonders for me, man. And thank you, Jay. And I try. I mean, I do pray. I mean, the one thing I need to get is I need to pray before I eat, man, because like I'm so bad. But yes, that is the thing. I guess I've come to Christ, but I haven't been baptized yet. It's a process with Orthodoxy, but I don't necessarily want to talk about all the issues I have with the other denominations, or like really get into the weeds theologically, like I said. If you read the article that I wrote, I gave just very little detail on that, but I don't want to talk about it online unless like I have my spiritual father says like I can talk about these things because I'm mature enough in the faith. But anyways, it's just my personal thing. And yeah, that was a very, yeah, I think Democrats are converting a lot of people. Yeah, that's one of the things that really converted me. It's just looking at the fruits of the secular world. And seeing all of this like rampant immorality, whether we're talking about like abortion, we're talking about these sexually immoral lifestyles that people live and just ruins their lives. And it's like, well, if this is what the secular world is doing to people, I don't want to be a part of it anymore. I want to flee that. And when you're also looking for the truth, Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. So that those like that with the intellectual arguments, it would been a journey. It's going to be a journey. If I live to 127 years old, it'll be a journey on my deathbed that I still feel like I'm going on. I mean, Ignatius of Antioch, when he was getting martyred, he's one of the apostolic fathers. I think he was taught by Polycarp, he was taught by John. He's like, I might become a disciple by being martyred, right? And he's one of the greatest saints in the history of the church, right? And that's the mindset that someone very, very pious and mature has in the faith. And I'm nothing in comparison to that. But anyways, we got Zaid Comics in the chat. Really cool to see you guys. Of course, Man with No Strings is closing out extremely soon, so I would recommend you guys getting in on that. And of course, I think I need to. Actually, I think this is better. What do you guys? Do you guys prefer like this or like this? Like this is A, this is B. Honestly, I think I could do a poll, but I think we're just going to go with this for now, because why the hecky becky not? But anyways, this collection here, nothing too big. We're getting that story. The unpack that story. Seems like they're at HQ is just like mental health services thing, which is a cool thing, I suppose. The picture on the side is better. Okay, so we'll keep it like this. Student of God doesn't care, so we'll keep it like this. I think it's a minor thing, but you always want to like optimize things. And it was nice to pay for StreamYard because it lets me do stuff like it makes playing the videos for the intro better. I have the watermark in the corner gone, and I've got my little Velvet Room Publishing logo. Let's see. So how many pages is the new story? I don't think we know how long the story is, but I can't imagine it being more than a 16-pager, which is about the length of all the other short stories. But I don't think we have any of that information right now. But of course, this is to help support Nerd HQ. It's a nonprofit for mental health advocacy, and I'm always like really iffy on like the mental health stuff. I think I think it's a good cause trying to help people. That's always a nice thing. But I always think like the mental health institution, as one who's been through it on like very, I would say, pretty intimately when I was in high school. Well, we could add up all the pages and minus the total. That would be I mean, I guess I could do that, but that's something that you probably would want to do. And yeah, no problem, Zayd. I really like what you guys do, and of course, you guys have been really nice to me. You sent me the cards. You guys sent me some review copies. I need to get some more Magic Cop, man. But I'm kind of well. I'm still broke. I'm always going to be. I feel like I'm always going to be broke with how much my rent is. Man. I just paid rent this week, so no money for comic books this week. I bought this Rippazine because it was like what? It was like $18. I'm like, I can afford that. But yeah, no, man, I paid rent this week, so nothing until next week when the check comes in, and then it'll kind of ease the pain I feel in my wallet. But yeah, so that's a big thing for me. For this one, I bought this not for the other stories. Like I said, I've read all of these. I've got Rippazine 5, The I Want It All. Really excited to read that, see what Andrew has been cooking up with his speedster, which will include this. This will be fulfilling in the first quarter of 26. So by the end of March next year, it could be earlier than that. Decent chance it's going to be. But regardless of that, the really interesting for me is the Tobias 4 and Unpack that story by Zachary Levi. And it does seem like this story is created by Zachary Levi. Artist is Evan Scale, who's the same artist for Dirty Deeds, which I'm really excited for, just having learned that right now, is that Evan Scale is a fantastic artist for Dirty Deeds, and I loved his art in Dirty Deeds. So to see him doing this story and having Marcos Martins as the colorist, it's just chef's kiss. Again, I'm so sorry, guys, for my freaking nose. It's just so bad. But yes, I wish I had I should get a box of tissues next to my computer, but that has negative connotations, man. If I did that, it would tempt me to do other things. Which I, Lord willing, I'm putting behind me forever. But oh man, let's see. So Jay as a guest on the creative block would be cool. Get on it, Phil. Yes. Honestly, I would love to be on the live stream with the Zayd brothers. But the thing is, the Zayd brothers, they don't want to have me on because I'm a big burly man that likes to lift weights. I'm not Selma Hayek. I'm not bikini clad. So, they like my reviews, but I'm not like some babe on a beach that just laughs and just says, "Read this book, guys. It's great." Which, I feel like if any woman did that for Zayd Comics, they would get much more play than me reviewing the book and actually talking about it. And again, I'm feeling better, but I'm like, God, I'm so congested, man. So freaking congested. So Jay meets everyone. Gina, Zachary, Rob Schneider. Yeah, it's pretty cool to go that gambit. Like, I guess the alternate like Hollywood gambit or like the exiled Hollywood gambit. I'm not sure about Rob Schneider though, but I definitely know Gina and Zachary have gotten into controversy because they've refused to swallow the Hollywood Kool-Aid, and that's what a lot of I feel like Tim Allen as well. The Santa Claus guy, the home repair or whatever that show. I mean, that show came out before I was alive. It was more than 98, guys. So that's like way before my time. But I remember watching AVGN, Angry Video Game Nerd, getting like informed on all that stuff because I think there was a Super Nintendo game with that. But I know about the Santa Claus. Like that's a ridiculous movie. But it's like one of those, like, you put it on Christmas, you turn your brain off, you have some fun. It's such a stupid movie though, but then that's kind of the charm of it. So not every movie has to be this like highbrow, really like deep and meaningful movie. It could be a movie. Yes. You guys, well, how about this? I will let's see. How about this? I will take Suit of God's advice and I will blow my nose. I'm going to put on the Norfolk video and then I'll be right back.
Here we stand at the turn of the tide. I can see an innate desire. Sword in hand, warriors side by side. I can feel it, it burns like fire. Worlds collide, an unstable landscape. Side by side, but that's what this man takes. Be it might, and unlikely allegiance. We will fight because that's the best defense. No turning back, for such is our.
That's a lot better. Give me one moment. Okay, that's a lot. I feel better because I freaking blew my nose. So yeah, I got the tissues and I blew my nose. So that's a lot better. Let's see. So Ram is saying, out of all the 6 stories of yours, yours is the one I'm looking forward to seeing the continuation. Bone God's my favorite story in the book. I was so surprised that it was. People liked Bone God. People liked Bone God. They vibed with Bone God a lot more than I did. Not to say I didn't vibe with Bone God, but to me, Bone God was like one where there's too much going on for this to be a short story. I think that's like in the little blurb that he had, or I guess the little piece that he wrote. I think Caleb Edwards is the writer on that. If I'm getting it correctly, it's like, I want the self-contained. So there's a lot of thought that went into it. I really appreciate that. Just this one, I want to be like a 96 pager. Just give him and Will Conrad the green light to make a 96 pager of Bone God. I'd be all over it, because then it would have room to breathe. Then you'd have room to develop these characters, get me invested in them, do some exposition on like exactly what they're doing, where you have the characters like in like a university saying, we found this, and then they go, and then it's those scenes, and then there's some stuff afterwards that explains that. But with this, it's just like it's trying to condense all of that into those 16 pages. And while it's really cool and intriguing, it leaves me scratching my head a little bit. But I didn't get that feeling with Underdog. As I think the Oscars are really strong on short scripts. Let's see. We definitely need more Cameron Cross. Jay, your story definitely felt like a lot like a setup, like a lot of setup to something bigger. Eric needs to give you guys 100 pages. Yes, I 100% agree. I'm not sure if they all need 100 pages to get the story. I think Bone God would work well as a 96 pager. You could probably do Across the Bears like a 56 pager. You could do like 3 issues of that and get a pretty good story out of that. But again, Will Conrad's art in Bone God is probably some of the best I saw in Saints and Sinners. Like hands down, he's a fantastic artist. So that made Bone God really enjoyable for me. But I'm still sticking to Underdog as the best one, because Cliff does a really good job, and like I said, the Saskers they're just really good at writing. Which people will disagree with me. People might even say I'm a simp for saying that, but they can have whatever their opinion they want about me. And that's that. So Eric July's writing style seems to be trying to mimic Chuck Dixon. I'm not sure about that. I like how Eric writes. Weight of Restraint was definitely an interesting thing. Of course, Jay is being very teasing. Of course, we got Andrew in the chat, so he's not going to say anything more than that. We don't want to NDA, and that is quite an interesting thing to say. But I do want to get into this thing from Student of God. Stop the screen, remove from studio. Yeah, no, not that. We're going to share the screen. We're going to share this window. We're going to share this window right here. Boom. Actually, it would be boom. There we go. We added this to the stage. So of course, Student of God, love. Yeah, see you guys. Yeah. See you guys later. See you guys later. So Zay Comics are probably doing their own live stream. So hopefully, guys, check that out. Let's see. Yeah, you're right. He bleeds NDAs. Let's see. Let's see. Jay saying definitely needs more carrying costs. Like, I don't know if his history. I want to know if Horseman has ever come across his unit. That would be interesting. If let's see, add this to my post. Rippaverse already has a retail portal and a few shops. They deal with basically all I'm asking for is a retail drive. Same concept as a sub drive or a membership drive. Sure, exactly what you mean by that. But anyway, so the Rippazine can go retail by offering a retail exclusive compact comic. Why I believe the market data points to this. Spend a year advertising to get retail/comic shops on board. Make phone calls. This nightstand would be nice. Retail pre-order window buzz. So I think, student of God, the best way to get into retail for the Rippaverse is the Primeval toy line. I talked about this when the Primeval toy line first launched. You guys can go back to that that episode I did of Braxcast Live, and the numbered one, just type in like Braxcast Primeval, and you guys can see like my commentary on that when it's really fresh in my mind. But for me, getting these, action figures into toy shops, packing them in with comic books, I think is the way to go. It's how Todd McFarlane made a name for himself with Spawn, was bought with McFarlane toys and packing into comic books. I think Rippaverse could have a lot of success, especially since they're working with McFarlane toys. Eric could go and say, hey, I want to do that same strategy where we use the Primeval toy line, we pack in comics, and we get the kids to read the comic books. What do you think I should do? I'm sure Todd McFarlane is going to be willing to collaborate. So toy with the comic. Yes, exactly. More like comic with the toy. Like get, the kids to walk into the Walmart, the Target, or they're walking into the local comic book shop. Because I've seen, I remember this was something I saw at my local comic book shop back when I was in New York. I would see parents walk in and buy stuff for their kids. And it typically would not be, it would be more like the toys and stuff like that. So if you could make a cool looking toy, whether that's ISOM or Yaira or like an Alpha Core free pack or something like that, and it's packed in with an issue of Alpha Core or ISOM or just a Rippazine, or they sell it and then you have this deal where it's like, hey, we'll give you like a stack of Rippazines. Give this out to anybody who buys one of your books, to the LCS, and then that gets them into reading the Rippaverse. I think that would be the best way to do retail. I think doing like exclusive comics through retail when you're primarily a direct-to-consumer business is what is going to burn the most passionate members of the fan base, number one. And then secondly, I just think it's not the way Eric is seeing the business model. I don't think they see the business model as something where they do stuff primarily through retail. Retail, I think, is a secondary thing. I think it's a great way to expand the readership, but I really think the Primeval toy line is the key to them having retail success. Of course, I could be wrong. But that's just my opinion. To lower the price, you make the figures smaller for kids. The 6-inch figures are for old people over 30. That's the truth. I'm 27. I bought 2 of them. So, yeah, but basically, it's for people who are adults. So, yeah, you make them smaller. You give them less removable heads and stuff like that. So you make the Primeval toy line like those, like you bog them down. Excuse me, to make them cheaper. Instead of it being like $40, you might be able to get it to $19.99. It becomes an impulse purchase for the parents, and of course, you pack that in with the comic book, and then you can get people who come back as repeat customers of the Rippaverse because, like, hey, I like the ISOM comic, Dad. Can you go on Rippaverse.com and buy me the rest of the ISOM comics? And the guy's like, yeah, we'll do it for Christmas or your birthday, and then that's a couple more sales. I really think that's the way to go about it. If you're going to have a retail strategy, instead of trying to do like exclusive deals and these big marketing pushes, because it's expensive and it's going to burn people who primarily interact with the Rippaverse through the DTC, direct to consumer, which is most people in the Rippaverse are buying direct to consumer. There is, of course, some retail that's going on. They do have the retail portal. That is something that happens, but It's primarily direct to consumer. That's who you should be prioritizing. And I think any direct to consumer customer or any customer that's going through the Rippaverse site should be able to buy everything because that's how it's always been. I think it's how it always should be. And then you use the toy line as a way to get the younger people and to get people who just like to go to the local comic book shops or just walk around Target. You can be an adult and you can see Isom and the Isom action figure and think it looks cool. And it's like, oh, it comes with a comic. I'll read it. And then you can end up really liking it. Like I said, I think the toy line is going to be, if you're going to have a retail strategy, it has to be around the Primeval toy line. That's my honest to God opinion. Student of God can of course disagree with me on that, but that's my take on it. And I think something like this is like a real down the road fake when the Rippaverse is like in that $50 million range and very well established. And I don't think you're quite there yet. Let's see. Comic with the toy was done with Marvel toys and Star Wars toys back in the day. Did not know that. I know it was done with Spawn and McFarlane toys back in the day. And like I'm saying, they're working with McFarlane toys to make the Primeval toy line, so I think it's a really good idea for them to do that. I'm saying offer something only a comic shop can sell, because currently there is zero reason for the comic shop to compete with the Rippaverse online. I think that's kind of a good thing if you want to get more people into the comic book stores, but I think a lot of people who would go to comic book stores um, are probably like if the demographic of people who go to comic stores most likely have a pretty good idea of Rippaverse. And if they knew about Rippaverse, they necessarily would be willing to buy it online. But yeah, I think giving incentives to the comic stores to sell product, I still think you could do that for the Primeval toy line suit of God. Um, but yeah, I mean, would it be cool for them to have the distribution to go for like a network of LCSs? Uh, but that's something that requires a lot of logistics, and I'm not sure if all of them are going to be on board. Of course, a lot of these LCSs aren't necessarily going to like Rippa for his political opinion, so you're going to have that to contend with when you're going to deal with all these people who are going to be ornery to you because of the line you've drawn in the sand. I'm not sure if that's the biggest problem. I think I might be overstating that a little bit, but again, it could be a bit like herding cats. And there's just so many throughout the country. And of course, you got all the international readers as well to consider. So doing like an exclusive, like you could only get this with the comic book shop, I'm not sure how good of an idea that is. Of course, you can do that for like, hey, you can only get this in the comic book shop for the month of, let's say, August 2026. I'm just throwing a random month and year out there. And then after August 2026, we'll put it on the store. People can buy it from anywhere. That'll be a cool thing. So I think you could do like a mediation of that, but I still think you could use the Primeval toy line as something to get to comic book shops, and I still think bundling it with the comics is something that could help the LCSs out as well. Let's see. Start with a few shops. They will sell out because they only have it. Other shops will follow suit, I suppose. But again, I just get reticent about using like the scarcity thing as a way to sell product. It can work. It can also just leave people feeling very burned. It makes people victims to scalpers. So I'm just not like 100% on board with it. I think retail, you want to go for like a more mass market, more broader approach than doing these like niche short runs where you're trying to get people to get like hyped up and rush out to the store to buy this limited product. So I'm not sure if what's necessarily the best idea. I think it's a decent one. But I'm not sure if it's like the one that I would do if I was Eric and I was, making the business decisions. I would lead it on the Primeval toy line as the way to get into retail. But that's my opinion. And I think really that's all I've got to say on that. That's my commentary. So unless you want to, talk to me some more about that, I think we can move on from that. And I think really covered everything I wanted to talk about. Of course, we talked about the Rippazine collection. Nice to see Drug Free PO in the chat. Let's see. Oh, dude, this is a reprint of old stuff already printed. So are you saying, let's see. Are you saying, let's see, exclusive compact comic? Is this what you're saying? Like make like a compact reprint comic and then do that as a limited run? I mean, I think that would be kind of interesting. I'm just not sure if that's going to have like the ability to sell out as well as you think it would. Uh, I think, but I think it would be like if you were doing like ash cans. But basically, that what you're saying is like doing like the Diamond previews, where Diamond, of course, has the books that they give, or this is back before they went bankrupt. They would have the catalog, they would have the previews, and the comic book shops would buy based off of that. You could do I suppose what you're I guess saying is something that's like maybe the size of Rippazine is just the previews. I think that's something that you could do and distribute to local comic book shops as a way to say, hey, it's the Rippaverse preview book. Um, I think using like stands for this is going to be an expensive thing, but with that, I actually think that's a good idea. And honestly, I think doing like a Rippaverse preview book and bundling it in with that a compact comic, just like DC did. So you're talking like an ash can or something like that. I suppose. Are you saying like taking like Isom 1 and just putting it in an ash can format, or like truncating Isom 1 or something like that? Because I don't know exactly what you're talking about. I'm not the most knowledgeable uh with these marketing things that DC and Marvel have done, because I'm a newbie. I'm a tourist. I have no idea what I'm talking about. And I'm also so freaking sniffly still. So I might just end this after soon if God clarifies. I get this understanding, because I don't wanna put you guys through my terrible nasally voice. Let's see. Let's see. Anyways, literally in the picture. So let's see. DC Compact Comics. So this is okay. I guess this is in the picture where you've got basically something like Watchmen, and you get the compact comic of Watchmen. So like say having like this, yeah, I mean to have like an end stand where you have like these books again, I think it would be a cool idea, um, but I think something like this it's a logistical like nightmare to do, like this is like called like end cap in retail, and it's expensive because it requires space. You have to have the packaging for it. You have to give instructions to how to set this up. So I think it would be a cool thing to do. But to me, this would be something to test out at like a con, like do compact comics, sell it at a con, and then if there's interest based on that, then you could do the retail route. But I do think something like this would be cool. But like making your own like compact comic Rippaverse books, I'm not sure necessarily. But I guess you're taking like something like Watchmen and just making it a smaller format so you could make it cheaper, if that's what you're saying. Uh, I'm not sure how correct I am on that. But this has been a complete disaster. I think Suit of God is failing to communicate into my thick head what his idea is. I'm very apologetic over that. And I'm getting nasally again. So I think I might end this here. Unless anybody, let's see. No, you just do a pre-order, print, and ship. So like a pre-order campaign or pre-order through the local comic book store. Because that'd be an interesting thing. But anyway, not everyone has an LCS. Especially if you're a Rippaverse fan and you're getting into the Rippaverse, people are in the habit of going to their local comic book shop. And even someone like me who's done it, it's like, oh, it's better to be in my underwear at sitting at my computer and buying my Rippaverse stuff than having to like get into my car and drive to the store and be like, hey, I want this Rippaverse compact comic. Can you get it for me, please? It requires it's a bit more it's more logistics on both the consumer and the company side. And like I said, I think I might end this year, even though it's been only all local shops who pre-order already with DC, Marvel, and Image. Yes, I'm aware of that. There's pre-order, there's pull lists. That's a very typical thing that local shops will do. But for me, the thing is like, is the average Rippaverse customer in the habit of doing that? The answer to that is definitively no. So I don't necessarily want to like alienate those. Yeah. So GDV is making the very excellent observation that we don't have an LCS around here. I just think it's a good idea, though, just exposure. So it is a good idea. But again, not everyone has a local book comic book shop that they can access. It's something where if you are going to do this, I would rather this be done with material that's already printed, like Student of God is saying. So I think on that basis, but doing anything like exclusive content through that. But I don't think that's what Student of God was getting at. So I do think this is a decent idea, but like I said, the best retail strategy is focusing on that primeval toy line. That's what I think should be done. And I'm going to really stick to my guns on that Suit of God. I think packing comics in with the toys, distributing that to LCSs, to the big box retailers, is going to be the best bet for Rippaverse breaking into retail. And that's just my opinion. But anyways, guys, I think I might want to end it here because I'm so freaking congested. I don't think you guys want me like constantly like going off stream and just blowing my nose, coming back and getting a couple more minutes of being able to commentate. So I know you guys are like getting into this. Let's see, gonna have to repost the idea with more detail. So yeah, no, I'm sorry if I didn't get the idea that as you intended it. But glad we could hash this out a little bit. God willing, I'll be back next week. And I won't sound like a freaking geyser of snot. But anyways, I'm gonna end it here. Let's see. Take care, Joker. Yeah, no, I'm feeling pretty decent. It's just I'm just really congested. But I was like, I wasn't ever that bad. This has been a really mild cold, thank God. But I'm just really congested, and I don't want to put myself, and I want to put more importantly you guys through me being congested. But anyways, you guys have a fantastic weekend. We'll be doing Braxcast recorded tomorrow. That'll be a little bit more structured. But anyways, you guys have a good weekend. Joker is out.